Hey guys, this is Mark Mopp, and I want to talk about a very important conversation today on what a real estate investor needs to know about hiring contractors. Um, at one point in my life, I was running 9 rehab crews simultaneously. I had just a ton of work being done. So a lot of this is that I've added to this contract over the years is just experiential from getting my face kicked in. So uh, please listen. The contract and stuff I'm going to be going over with you, I'm going to be giving you a subcontractor agreement. It's going to be in a Word doc so that you can change it at a later date. Uh, and I want to also give you a disclaimer. You always need to talk to a professional, talk to an attorney, talk to a consultant, talk to an accountant. I'm not giving legal advice, and said another way, everything I'm going to tell you today is a lie. If you like it, try it on. So basically what I'm telling you is don't sue me. So let's get on with this. So let's talk about being able to hire contractors and how to find the best contractor and what you want to do. So where do you find a contractor? A lot of guys say, well, I'll ask other real estate investors. Well, if you've got a good contractor, you're not going to be giving them away to other people. So you could ask for referrals from other investors. I don't recommend that. Home Depot Pro Desk is a great place to find them, talk to them. I also, when I was hiring a lot of contractors, I always wanted to have contractors that showed up on the job early in the morning. So I would talk to the people who ran the checkout and I'd talk to the clerks who are their regulars that come in and they're there consistently, because that tells me that they're working and doing a decent job. And check out their references. Those are the people I wanted to find. So there's a few tips, like when you're looking, like if I needed to have siding done on a house, I would actually stop when I saw a siding crew and ask if the contractor was there. If the contractor was not there, if the contractor was there, I'd ask for his business card, like the owner of the business. But if he wasn't there, I'd ask the guys if they did work on the side, because I could get some really good buys on stuff. So Home Depot, going there and finding people that come in early in the morning and that work consistently was pretty much the way I was finding people. So when you hire a contractor needs to have 2 types of insurance. And if they don't have the insurance, then you need to make sure you have the insurance. So they need to have a workman's compensation insurance. So if they fall and got hurt on the job and they didn't have workman's comp, you got a lawsuit coming your way. So if you're doing a lot of rehabs, you want to get a minimum workman's comp insurance policy for yourself, just to protect yourself. If you're a contractor has a workman's comp insurance, you want to give him a copy. You want him to give you a copy of his insurance showing you on that policy that you're an additional named insured. I've had contractors that would go pay for workman's comp insurance, get their proof of insurance, but then wouldn't make any payment after the first month. You hire them and they don't have workman's comp insurance, but they're able to show you a certificate that they do, but in reality they don't. So I always make sure that the workman's comp, their person who has their insurance, sends me over a copy of the policy with me added on as an additional named insured. That's critical. And you don't think that'll happen to you, but I guarantee it'll happen to you. Talk to anybody that does a lot of rehabs. Even though you have a minimum insurance policy yourself, you'll still need to show proof of your coverage for your insurance carrier. You'll be charged for the cost on your own insurance policy. So if the contractor is working by himself, and he can choose to exempt himself from workman's comp. So your insurance company will have the forms where they can sign them to exempt themselves from workman's comp, which will help you avoid that that lawsuit. So second type of insurance you need to have is you need to have liability insurance, or they need to have liability insurance. If they do, you want to make sure they again, add you on as an additional named insured, and you need to get that policy faxed to you or emailed to you from their insurance company, so that you know that you're covered. That way, if the insurance fell off, you would get a notice from that insurance company. So now, let's say that you were buying in the city of Detroit, and it's tough to get insurance there, where you could get an insurance policy that had liability because the house you're working on, has been open to trespass. It's a major rehab. So you want to make sure you get a fire policy with, probably you have to go to Michigan Basic. So you get a minimum fire policy so you're covered. And then if you can, you need to find a builder's risk insurance. And what that does, it allows you to get a builder's risk insurance that would cover your equipment, your tools, break-ins, stuff like that. It's expensive, but it's worth it if you've got a big job going on. But if the contractor's the one there with all his own equipment and that, then he's the one that needs to have his own insurance and doing that. But I'm just saying, if you're there and you've got your own equipment and you want to not have a problem, you need to look at a builder's risk policy. So how do you pay for your contractor? If you're dealing with a new contractor, you don't have a track record on it, I recommend that you buy small amounts of materials and see they get those materials to the job. Only pay for the work that gets done. The question you need to always ask yourself, if the contractor walks away from the job, is there enough money to hire someone else to finish the job? Even, I'm telling you, even as an experienced investor, after lots and lots of rehabs, I would get burned. So it's part of the risk or part of the cost of the job is where you do get burned. You just need to minimize that. Call it loss mitigation, if you like. Even experienced investors, as well as the new investors, make mistakes on paying out too much. So I used to have a situation where if I paid for everything, I worked out a deal where Home Depot would call me if they were returning something to that store. And I would catch contractors returning brand new materials. So I don't know if that exists today. So anyway, if the contractor's bringing back the materials for cash refund, I had to watch out for that. I've had great contractors who I've had for long-term relationship walk off the job. It's just part of doing business in the rehab world. So it's a must to hold back enough dollars to hire someone else to finish the job. I don't care how long you've worked with the contractor, you have to inspect the job before you pay them. There's a saying, only expect what you inspect. So you need to always inspect the job before you pay. If you don't inspect the work, you're opening yourself up for huge problems. Consider placing a provision in your contract that the final payment is contingent upon it passing the city certification or your inspection. I'm not trying to tell you sometimes you just want to do that. Should I have a contract with the rehab crew? Absolutely. So you want to feel free to talk to an attorney what you'd want to put into that. Should you pull permits? Yes, yes, and yes. I used to pull homeowner permits in the city of Pontiac. And by having the permit on the window, it was good. A lot of contractors, when you hire them, their idea, and you talk again to an experienced guy that's had a lot of contractors, they'll pull their pickup truck right in the front yard. They'll go in and rip and throw the things that are going to go to the trash right into the front yard. And what does that do? It says to the building department, work's going on with no permit. So, you need to make sure you've got a permit. And again, this is all based off my personal experience. So let's look at a sample contract, and I'll go through this very quickly, but it'll kind of give you an idea what you'd want to have. And again, if you want one of these copies, you're going to have to email me or that, and my email's here on the video. So it's an independent rehab contract agreement. This agreement's entered into this day, the day that you're going to sign it with them, in the city of and whatever state you're in. And then your address, the contractor, their name, what they are, their street address, city, phone number, their ID, their social security number, their contractor's license if they've got one. Then you want to, the schedule. The contractor agrees to commence the work on such and such a date. Contractor agrees to complete all the work by such and such a date. You may want to add a little bit of extra time there. They'll tell you I can get it done in 2 weeks. So if somebody tells you they can get it done in 2 weeks, that probably means 3 weeks to 4 weeks. So you want to be reasonable on this so that you don't set up expectations, or you can say, you said you'd get it done in 2 weeks, so I gave you 3 weeks. So don't argue with me on how this is coming out. And you also want to put in a clause that's subject to delays, strikes, availability of building materials, acts of nature. The owner reserves the right to cancel this agreement, and the contractor agrees to forfeit the balance of the money due under the contract if the work is not completed by this date. The contract herein shall be void, and the option of the owner if the contractor does not commence the work within X number of days. The scope of the work, the contractor agrees to provide the following: a description of the labor, the materials, the construction in accordance with the plan specifications as it may be referred to on the following described property: the address of the site, the description of the work. You want to have that attached. You want to have specific, any other specific provisions that you want to put in there. Hang on here. So the address of the work site, the description, the contractor's supervision, a project coordinator or project shall be designated the agent for the contractor. The name of that person is. The contractor agrees to perform the work in a workmanlike manner to comply with all applicable building and construction codes for residential and commercial structures. The contractor warrants that his work will conform with the codes and pass any government inspections. If any plans or specifications are part of this job, they are attached or made part of this contract. Anything that you're attaching to it, you want to have both parties initial. The price, the owner agrees to pay the contractor for satisfactory performance of the contractor's work subject to the terms and conditions of this agreement. Total contract amount, initial payment amount, and then a schedule of how the pay it's going to get paid. Extra work, if any, will be priced as agreed. Payments will be made only on satisfactory complete work based upon the progress and inspections done by the owner's approved supervisors. The contractor has the responsibility of arranging a time for the inspection. All check requests must be submitted by Wednesday to be processed by Friday. So if you pay on a certain day, you want to make sure they've got all their stuff in early for submission and you've had time to inspect it. Then you can always go back because what will happen is they'll wait to the last minute and tell you they need to get paid and and they'll give you a gajillion reasons why you should do that. And if you do, you're going to be in trouble because, again, if you don't inspect, you're going to get hammered. Should the work not be performed to the owner's specification in accordance with the codes or standards of paragraph 2, the owner will obtain a sufficient amount to complete the work as a final payment until the contractor brings the job up to code or the owner's satisfaction. The following is prohibited unless agreed in writing and signed by the owner in the contract for extra services and work. Deviation from the work specification herein or assignment of subcontracting work to be performed. The contractor agrees to indemnify and hold harmless the owner. In other words, if something he's done to cause a problem, he's saying he's willing to step into your shoes and fight off anybody on the property. So the contractor agrees to indemnify and hold harmless the owner of the property from any liability claims arising directly or indirectly from the contractor's work under this contract, whether due to the contractor or contractors, its employees, workers, agents, or any other person hired by the contractor. These include construction, including mechanicals, materials, liens. The contractor agrees to pay for all fees and costs, including the defense of the owner, or the owner's contractor specifically agrees to assume and pay the liens as they shall be filed by subcontractors. So you want to make sure that you've got these clauses in there so you can control and you've got it in writing. It's a contract. The contractor agrees to obtain and pay for workmen's disability compensation insurance, personal liability insurance, errors and omissions, and contractual insurance, public liability insurance. In other words, he needs to have whatever insurances are needed. If he doesn't have it, then you need to make sure you've got it. The contractor agrees to pay for withholding where required by all federal law, state. In other words, you're making sure he's going to follow the law. State, local taxes, money earned by from the owner for itself or its employees to file proper tax returns. The owner will not withhold any sums for taxes due the contractor. The contractor's relationship to the corporation shall be that of an independent contractor, not an officer, employee, or agent. The owner, no participation in joint venture similar is created by this agreement. The corporation shall have no liability to the contractor except to pay its compensation under this contract. Building permits pulled by, the cost will be paid by, city certificates will be obtained by. So you're spelling everything out. No modifications from this contract will be in effect unless in writing and is signed by both parties here too. The contract binds and benefits both parties, assigns personal representatives and successors. Time is of the essence, which means he needs to move as quickly as possible on whatever he's agreed to in this contract. This is a document that's including its attachments, entire agreement between the parties and the laws of the state of Michigan or whatever state you're in. And again, if you're somewhere, you need to always check with legal counsel or have them review your subcontractor agreement. This is a legal contract, and there is anything you do not understand about the contract language, do not sign it. It's recommended you consult an attorney or get legal advice from tax advice. In other words, you want them not to have say they didn't understand it when they signed it. Then it's stated and signed by everybody. So basically, that's a really quick overview. We're going to have a seminar coming up where we're going to actually have a really good speaker talk about this. We'll go back through this in slow motion and allow you to ask questions. And that seminar will be sometime in December, January of this year. Thank you for listening. Look forward to seeing you around town.